Craighill Primary School faces a challenge: how to teach children who miss school due to travelling and children who are present all year to the same standard.
If we see this sign, we're going to say food.
Staff think they've found the answer. Classes are split into small groups for the 3 Rs based on ability, not age.
I can quickly assess them the moment they arrive and slot them in so that straight away they are being taught effectively as well. If you've got a child that only knows the letter S, A and T, and you've got a child that can read words like magnificent, you cannot teach a lesson effectively. A child that only needs S, A and T actually needs to be practising words like sat. The child who can read the word magnificent needs to be reading a text at their level for comprehension purposes.
This method got the approval of Ofsted today, who've rated the school good, with much of the teaching outstanding. Parents are delighted.
The days of the travelling children not going to school and not being able to read, that's not the future for them. And I'm very pleased with what they've done here.
Most children here are from the Dale Farm Travellers site. The eviction of families living there without planning permission 2 years ago was upsetting for pupils and led to reports the school might close. The head teacher says the school's moved on.
Our children are really, really resilient. School life is school life. School is a normal day. We have read, write, ink, we have maths, we have science, and children are all functioning as normal children do in normal schools, which is what we are. And so that we don't see any impact of that now. There were times when it was very challenging, but school is a happy place where they want to come and learn.
The school made headlines again this December when it came bottom of the league tables for maths and English. But the Ofsted report addresses this fact head-on, saying that the small class sizes here mean comparisons with the national average are just not meaningful. They go on to say that attainment here is rising and that all the pupils achieve well. Ofsted also notes children are very positive about their school.
Now it's getting better when I first came out because there's more people, there's more kindness and there's more education and stuff. Really happy because you're allowed to do stuff you can't do at home. Like you can read books. At home you can't. You have to buy a book. But you get free books here and you'll be able to read them.
See, when I started here it was only all Irish travellers, but now the school's just starting to bring in more like non-travellers into the school. It's a chance for people to make new friends from different cultures.
Craighill Primary has just received a huge vote of confidence from Ofsted, a confidence staff and pupils hope will be shared by the wider community. Elodie Harper, ITV News. Arriving at court is not a new experience for Lord Hanningfield, but at the High Court this morning he was not the defendant. The former Tory peer is suing Essex Police £6,500 for unlawful arrest. In July 2011, Lord Hanningfield was convicted of fiddling his parliamentary expenses and spent 9 weeks in prison. A few days after he got home from jail, he was arrested by Essex Police as part of a new investigation.
On this occasion, police were investigating Lord Hanningfield's use of expenses while he was the leader of Essex County Council. No charges were ever brought against him. And now Lord Hanningfield says that this arrest by Essex Police and his later detention were unlawful.
Lord Hanningfield told me he felt the whole experience was upsetting and unnecessary.
If they'd have requested me to go along and be interviewed and talked about these issues, I would have done so straight away. So I think they were rather heavy-handed about it, and it certainly has implications for lots of other people, perhaps, who can't handle it as well as I can. So I brought the case to actually make certain that it doesn't perhaps happen again to other people.
I mean, some people will say you've got a conviction for taking public money wrongfully. You shouldn't be seeking more public money and damages.
I think my record on public money is pretty good, really. I have been 40 years in the public service, most of it not been paid. And if we win anything on this, I'm likely to give it to charity anyway.
Will you definitely give it to charity if you win on
this? If I win anything on this, yes.
Some people watching this, obviously you've got a conviction for expenses fraud. They might not have any sympathy about the fact of whether you were lawfully arrested or not. Why should they?
Well, I don't think people who've been convicted should have any different treatment to anyone else, because we are talking about people trying to go on the straight and narrow again.
Essex Police say their arrest of Lord Hanningfield was entirely lawful and that they had more than reasonable grounds to believe it was necessary.
A judgment in the case is expected within weeks. Elodie Harper, ITV News at the High Court in London. Everyone at this adult learning class in Great Yarmouth hopes it will improve their job prospects.
Level 2, start date.
And that's not just the students. Single mother Nicola Hopkins works at the Priory Centre as a volunteer teacher assistant. At the moment, she's surviving on job seekers allowance, but hopes volunteering will give her the experience employers demand.
They don't actually specify. They just say they like people who have experience. So it's how much more experience can I give them, really?
The demand for experience is especially hard on young job seekers.
Over the past year, youth unemployment here in Ipswich rose at a faster rate than in other eastern cities such as Norwich and Colchester. The government are keen for companies to take on more apprentices to tackle this problem. And here on the Marina, that's just what several businesses are doing.
This recruitment firm say hiring apprentices gives back to the community, but it also keeps their overheads and wage bill down. Josh and Natasha work here on the national minimum wage for apprentices of £2.60 an hour. The company also pay £300 towards their NVQ qualifications.
Josh is currently one of our top consultants. Natasha more or less runs our compliance department single-handedly, so yeah, they're both very successful.
But do you think it's fair that they've got such responsible positions for £2.60 an hour?
That's a good question. What they've got is an opportunity to work as apprentices and to develop into sort of long-term full-time employees.
What's it like living on £2.60 an hour?
Hard, very hard. It's a lot of Sainsbury's value stuff at the moment. Living on the breadline, but it's better than job seekers.
Pursuing the dream of a staff job is not easy in today's climate. Low pay or even no pay, some of the paths people are taking to get there. Elodie Harper, Anglia News.
Manufacturing were to move abroad, that would be a blow for the British government.
It would indeed, and David Cameron is at the moment in the Far East. He's going to Malaysia this week. It's a Malaysian company which now owns Lotus. Now, I've spoken to the local MP, Richard Bacon. He has been lobbying the Prime Minister's office, trying to get this issue as far up the agenda as possible. Now, given the Prime Minister is out there in Malaysia wanting to sell British business, and the fact that £10 million of taxpayers' money has already been invested in the regeneration plan here at Hethel, one can only assume that the Prime Minister will be working very hard in Malaysia to try and ensure that Norfolk continues to be the production base and the heart of Lotus.
Thank you, Elodie.